Welcome to ZoomInData. In this video, we will learn about triggers in Azure Data Factory. Triggers help us automate pipeline execution without any manual intervention. We will understand the different types of triggers available and clearly learn when and why to use each one. This video is explained in a beginner-friendly and very detailed manner so that anyone can understand easily. A trigger in Azure Data Factory defines when a pipeline should run. Instead of manually executing pipelines every time, triggers automate the execution process. Triggers help with scheduling pipelines, running them based on time, or even running them based on events. A single pipeline can be connected to one or multiple triggers depending on business requirements. We need triggers to automate repetitive pipeline execution. Triggers ensure that pipelines run at the correct time without human involvement. This reduces manual errors and increases reliability. Triggers also support both real-time and batch data processing scenarios, making them very powerful in production systems. Azure Data Factory provides three main types of triggers. These are schedule trigger, tumbling window trigger, and event-based trigger. Each trigger type serves a specific purpose and is used based on the data processing requirement. Let us understand each trigger type in detail. A schedule trigger runs pipelines at fixed times. It works similar to a cron job. You can configure it to run hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Schedule triggers are the most commonly used trigger type in Azure Data Factory for batch processing workloads. Schedule triggers are commonly used for daily data loads that run at midnight, weekly report generation, or monthly billing data processing. They are also useful for running periodic backup pipelines. Whenever a task needs to run at a fixed time, schedule triggers are the best choice. A tumbling window trigger executes pipelines in fixed and non-overlapping time windows. It ensures that data is processed exactly once for each window. Tumbling window triggers also support dependencies between windows, making them ideal for time series and incremental data processing scenarios. Tumbling window triggers are used for hourly sales data processing, incremental log ingestion, and financial transaction processing. They are especially useful in scenarios where missing data is not acceptable and strict data consistency is required. An event-based trigger executes pipelines when a specific event occurs. It is commonly used with Azure Blob Storage. Pipelines can be triggered when a file is created or deleted. Event-based triggers enable near real-time data processing and automation. Event-based triggers are used when a pipeline needs to run as soon as a file arrives. They are useful in real-time data ingestion scenarios and automated downstream processing. Event-based triggers are a key component of event-driven architectures. To summarize, schedule triggers are time-based, tumbling window triggers process fixed windows with dependencies, and event-based triggers are event-driven. Choosing the right trigger type is critical for building efficient and reliable data pipelines. To create a trigger, go to Azure Data Factory Studio and navigate to the Triggers section. Select the required trigger type and configure the start time, recurrence, or event conditions. Once configured, the trigger can be attached to one or more pipelines. A trigger can be used to run multiple pipelines, and a pipeline can also be connected to multiple triggers. Triggers can pass parameters to pipelines, enabling flexible and dynamic execution logic based on runtime conditions. Trigger parameters are used to pass values at runtime. They are commonly used for dates, file paths, or environment values. Using parameters helps reuse the same pipeline for multiple scenarios and improves maintainability. Triggers can be monitored from the Monitor tab in Azure Data Factory Studio. You can view trigger status, execution history, and identify failed or skipped runs. Monitoring helps in troubleshooting and ensuring reliable automation. Some common mistakes include forgetting to start the trigger after creation, incorrect time zone configuration, misconfigured event paths, and not validating trigger logic properly. Avoiding these mistakes ensures smooth pipeline execution. Best practices include using schedule triggers for batch workloads, tumbling window triggers for incremental data, and event-based triggers for real-time scenarios. Always monitor trigger executions and enable logging for better observability. In a real-world scenario, when a file arrives in Azure Blob Storage, an event trigger starts the pipeline. The data is copied, transformed, and finally stored in a data warehouse. This entire process happens automatically without manual intervention. The key takeaways are that triggers automate pipeline execution, different trigger types suit different use cases, proper configuration is essential, and continuous monitoring ensures reliable data workflows. After watching this video, try to answer these questions. What is the purpose of a trigger? What is the difference between schedule and tumbling window triggers? When should event-based triggers be used? Why are trigger parameters important? Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to ZoomInData for more Azure and data engineering tutorials. Like, share, and support the channel so we can continue creating detailed and easy to understand content. Join the ZoomInData learning community to get structured and in-depth data engineering content. Learn step by step with real-world explanations designed especially for beginners and professionals.